Hello students, welcome back. So I am back with my next video for class 9th on the topic matter in its surroundings, and the topic to be dealt here will be the change in state of matter, the effect of pressure, and then we will be discussing evaporation. In the previous video we have discussed the effect of temperature and latent heat. For that you can refer to that video. The link can be found in the description box. Now, first of all, here we are going to discuss the effect of pressure. Just as the change in temperature can change the state of the matter, similarly by changing the pressure also the state of the matter can be changed. Now what it is? We know to change the state of matter, the basic requirement is to change the distance between the particles. The requirement is to change the distance between the particles, which we achieved in the previous video by the change in temperature. Similarly, what do you think? Pressure can also bring about this change? Yes, because suppose these are the gas, the particles are very far away from each other. So if I want to bring these particles close to each other and I apply a lot of pressure on this, means I try to compress it by the application of pressure, definitely the particles will come closer to each other. And if enough pressure is applied, the particles will come so close to each other that the gas can change to liquid by increasing the pressure. Okay, and similarly if we increase the pressure further, then we can change the liquid also into solid, because the particles will come all the more close to each other. So on further increasing the pressure, the particles will come more close to each other, and this way we can change gases to liquid and liquid to gas by increasing the pressure, and reverse, to change solid to liquid and liquid to gas, we can decrease the pressure. So this is how the pressure change can bring about the change in state. But here, while applying pressure, one more thing has to be kept in mind. It is a common observation that when pressure is increased, the temperature also increases. But if the temperature increases, the particles will again move far apart. Therefore, whenever we increase the pressure and increase in pressure, always has to be accompanied by a decrease in temperature. Means, in order to change a gas to liquid or liquid to solid, we will increase the pressure and we will decrease the temperature in order to bring such change. This is very important, one marker question also, that what are the conditions required to liquefy a gas? To convert any gas to liquid, what are the requirements? Increasing the pressure and decreasing the temperature. These are the conditions for liquefying a gas. Very important one marker question. Okay. So now after this, one more question associated with this same term is conversion of carbon dioxide. You know carbon dioxide is a gas, and this carbon dioxide gas has a unique property that if we increase the pressure and decrease the temperature, it will change its state. But this gas does not come into the liquid state and changes directly into solid state, which is referred to as solid carbon dioxide, and the common name of solid carbon dioxide is dry ice. It is called dry ice because it does not enter into the liquid state. So you can see here, one more thing we can say about is that when carbon dioxide gas is To change into solid carbon dioxide, we have to increase the pressure and decrease the temperature. If the reverse has to take place, means if this solid carbon dioxide slab is taken and kept in the open, first thing, pressure is reduced. It has come to the atmospheric pressure. It was in the freezer, temperature has increased, means the reverse of these two has taken place, and therefore solid carbon dioxide will change back directly to carbon dioxide gas, means there is no liquid state. So this can also be quoted as an example of sublimation. Sublimation is change of gas directly to solid. Solid carbon dioxide has a much lower temperature as compared to the normal ice, the ice from water, and therefore this type of substance, that is solid carbon dioxide, is preferred in deep freezers, for ice creams, etc., because it has a more strong cooling effect. This was about the effect of pressure. Now we will discuss the next topic of this chapter, that is evaporation. You know what is evaporation? Evaporation is the change of liquid into vapors. Vaporization is the change of liquid into vapor at its boiling point, but evaporation is a change which can take place at any temperature. At any temperature. So evaporation is the change from liquid to vapor state, liquid to vapor at any temperature. This temperature can be below the boiling point also. Common example I will give you. Suppose you leave a container, an open container with some water in it, and you leave it in the sun, or you even leave it in the room for 2-3 days with very little amount of water. After 2-3 days, you will observe that the water in that container either has decreased, and if it is very little, it has finished. Why this has happened? Because that water has evaporated from the surface. How does this evaporation takes place? First thing, that evaporation will take place because the particles of the water or any liquid will gain energy, and once they gain energy, they have energy enough to escape into the surroundings. For example, very common nail polish remover. Nail polish remover has acetone in it. The chemical present in nail polish remover is acetone. Acetone has a very low boiling point. So if you drop some acetone on your palm, you will observe that acetone quickly disappears from your palm. Why is it so? Because that acetone has taken heat energy from the palm. The particles have gained energy, and therefore they are able to escape from the force of attraction between them, and it goes into the atmosphere and changes into vapor. And because it is taking the heat energy from the palm, our palm feels cold when we drop a few drops of acetone on our palm. Is it clear? This is an important reasoning question also. Now, next we were discussing evaporation. So is evaporation clear to you? Why does it take place? Because it gains energy from somewhere. In case of acetone, from a palm. In case when I leave water in a container, it gains energy from the surrounding atmosphere and the like. Now there are certain factors on which evaporation depends. So here we are going to discuss the factors on which evaporation depends. The first factor over here is the surface area. I will ask you a question. If suppose I have 10 ml of water and I keep it in a cup, and another 10 ml I keep in an open plate, where will it evaporate earlier? The evaporation will be faster in this open plate than in the cup because it has more surface area. More the surface area means more particles of water or that liquid whichever we are using are in contact with the atmosphere. So more particles will gain energy from the atmosphere and escape into the surrounding. Therefore, larger the surface area, faster is the evaporation. This can also be put into one reasoning question like why the clothes are spread for drying and not kept just like that. Because when we spread the clothes on the cloth line, we spread them with an increased surface area. So the rate of evaporation increases due to an increase in the surface area. The next factor which we are going to discuss here is temperature. When the temperature is increased, the rate of evaporation also increases. As the temperature increases, the rate of evaporation increases because the more energy the particles will gain, easily they will escape into the surrounding. Higher the energy gained by them, higher will be the rate of evaporation, and thus evaporation goes faster because with the increase in temperature, the particles gain more energy. This we can compare by the fact that clothes dry faster on a sunny day than on a non-sunny day. One day it is sunny, the other day not. So the clothes will dry faster because that increased temperature increases the rate of evaporation. The third factor on which evaporation depends is the humidity. What is humidity? Humidity refers to the amount of moisture present in the atmosphere. When evaporation takes place, the water vapors go into the atmosphere. If the atmosphere already has much moisture, it will not take the moisture readily or quickly. Therefore, the rate of evaporation will decrease if the humidity of the atmosphere is high, because the atmosphere already has lot of moisture content and is not capable of holding much moisture again. Thus, the rate of evaporation slows down with the increase in humidity. Another reason for this is your clothes take a longer time to dry during rainy season, because in the rainy season there is enough moisture in the atmosphere and therefore the atmosphere does not take up much more moisture into it. And the last factor on which the evaporation depends, one is surface area, one is temperature, one is humidity, and the last one is wind speed. Higher the wind speed, higher is the rate of evaporation. Again, I will give you example of clothes. When the clothes are drying, they dry faster on a windy day, because what happens, when from your cloth the water is evaporating and going into the atmosphere, if there is wind blowing, the wind will carry away these moisture particles with it elsewhere. So the air above the cloth will become dry and therefore will be able to take up more moisture. Therefore, the rate of evaporation also increases with the increase in wind speed. I hope all these factors are clear. To sum up quickly, more the surface area, more the evaporation. More the temperature, more the evaporation. More the wind speed, more the evaporation. But more the humidity, lesser the evaporation. Then we have just discussed with an example of acetone that evaporation has a cooling effect. This question can also be asked, why evaporation produces a cooling effect? The reason for this is that when any liquid evaporates, it evaporates by taking the heat either from the surface or from the surrounding. And because it is absorbing the heat, it is bringing a cooling effect. This is the answer to this question, and same is the reason for the use of desert coolers during summer. One more important reasoning question, why do we use desert coolers during the summer? Now in the summers, when we use a desert cooler, you know inside the cooler there is water, and that water through a pump is made to fall on the sides of the cooler. When this water falls on the sides of the cooler, it begins to evaporate also. As it evaporates, it takes away the heat from the surrounding, therefore producing a cooling effect. I hope this is also clear. Then there is one more reasoning question that during summers, when we take cold water in a glass, small droplets of water are seen outside the glass, whether it is glass, water bottle, a cold drink bottle. The water vapors are seen collecting on this. So where have these water vapors come up? The atmosphere holds water vapors, we know. When the water vapors come in contact with this cold surface, they lose their heat to this surface and therefore they begin to change into liquid, because when we lower the temperature, gases change to liquid. So by losing the heat to this cold water, the water vapors begin to deposit on this cold surface. These are some reasoning questions. Then one more is that why do we prefer to wear cotton clothes in summer? We know we sweat a lot in summer, and sweating in summer is very important because when this sweat evaporates from the body, it takes the heat from the body and gains energy and evaporates. Thus, when it takes the heat from the body, it produces a cooling effect. Cotton clothes are better absorbers of sweat. So, whatever sweat is produced by the body, it is absorbed by the cotton clothes and then it evaporates from there to produce a cooling effect on the body. I hope you liked the video. Don't forget to like, subscribe and share with your friends. For any problem, for any other reasoning question, you can ask me in the comment section. I will feel delighted to be of help to you. Thank you.